on to the A.D.D show, where we're not always right, but we're never wrong. As always, I'm Mark.
And I'm Hans. And on today's show, we have Week 10 in the NFL. Go over some other sports news. And other sports news, obviously, Chase Elliott is your 2020 NASCAR champion for the first time in his career. Notable college football games are number 9 Miami at Virginia Tech, number 10 Indiana at Michigan State, number 2 Notre Dame at Boston College, number 20 USC at Arizona, Arkansas at number 6 Florida, and number 11 Oregon at Washington. Sorry, that's supposed to be Washington State. And about 6 ranked games postponed from COVID-19. Today, we have Nate with us, who's been on the show multiple times. He's also newly married, Nate.
Yes.
So that's very exciting. How are we doing, Mark?
I'm good. Couple things I want to get into before we start going into the games. But first off, before I ask you both a couple questions, Nate, how's it going?
I'm on cloud 9, fellas. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I had a great weekend. I've had a great week last week. Off to a good week so far. Thanks for having me on, and special thank you for shouting us out last week. Her parents heard it. My dad got to hear it. It was pretty cool. We appreciated that a lot. Thank you.
Yeah,
Not
absolutely,
a problem,
man.
Not a problem. Our pleasure. So first question is the most important. Has Nate now been converted to an Eagles fan?
Oh, no.
No. Never will be. Never have.
That'll never happen.
No. If anything, it's so bad that she just keeps buying me the team formerly known as Redskins apparel for presents. So
See, this is the thing, Mark, about the NFC East fans, like me, Nate, and the other guys. It is diehard. I know you with the Bengals like that. There is no chance if on my deathbed somebody came to me and I was dying and said, if you change your team to another NFC East team, you can live another 30 years. I'm flatlining. It's not happening.
I married into a Steelers fan.
And be given $10 million to be an Eagles fan.
Yeah. I would lay with anacondas before I did that. There's no way.
All right. Like, I married into a Steelers family, so it's
tough.
It's very tough.
But they don't even watch the game, so it's fine.
So my first question to you guys is this: I heard Ryan Clark on ESPN, made news by saying he'd pick Kyler Murray if Kyler Murray was the quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens would be a much more dangerous team in the playoffs. I 100% agree with him. The radio show that I listened to, 105.7 The Fan, they really went a little bit deeper into this. And they said, name 4 or 5 quarterbacks right now that you would start a franchise with. Now, everybody's at their age. Everybody is where they are. And both people obviously, they had Lamar number 2. They had Mahomes number 1, and then they are all homers in, which they get paid to do, They all had Mahomes 1. They then had Lamar Jackson. They had Kyler Murray on the list. They had Justin Herbert. They had Burrow. And then they left off the list. It's the 2 people that they left off the list that I'm more interested in. They left off the list Russell Wilson, and they left off the list Deshaun Watson. So my question to both of you is would you start a franchise right now with everything that we know, and all the money is the same? So Mahomes is a $40 million quarterback. Burrow and Herbert are on rookie deals. Watson's getting his money. Wilson has his money. And then you have, you could even throw Tua in there, Kyler, whatever. Who are you, besides Mahomes, who are you starting a franchise with today?
I'll let Nate go first.
I mean, if I'm starting a franchise today, I don't care that Aaron Rodgers is as old as he is. I'm picking that bad man to start my franchise with if it's not Mahomes. I'm also going to look at Deshaun Watson, because look at what he's doing with no offensive line, no running game, nothing at all. They traded away his best asset. He's got no tight end, the worst defense, and he's still in every game. Russell Wilson is a baller. I mean, that might be one of the only times I've ever heard you, Mark, say you were wrong. Was about Russell Wilson.
His game last week, though.
And honestly, I'm Kyler Murray, 100%. I would start a franchise with. He's making mistakes, but people are forgetting the fact that, he's only a second-year guy. Yes, he was a number 1 overall pick, and he's electric, but he's also 5'9", So he has to move out of the pocket more than any quarterback to make the throws, and he still can throw the ball just as far as almost everybody in the league besides maybe Rodgers, Mahomes, and Herbert. And then, honestly, I don't care which rookie you give me. If you give me Herbert, Burrow, or Tua, I'm comfortable.
Yeah,
So Nate, before Christian answers, so you would take the 3 rookies over Lamar?
Right now, yeah.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to.
Yeah, for me, I did this earlier because you guys were talking about it. I think you were talking about it in the group. You mentioned that he had said that. I made a list in my head, and I got to about 14 quarterbacks before I take Lamar Jackson. 13 or 14 quarterbacks, okay. And it stops with me around. It stops me around the argument with like Jared Goff, Wentz, and I always forget the freaking Bills dude.
Josh Allen.
Thank you, Josh Allen. Around that area is my 10 to 13 range. Then I'd probably say Lamar, but I'm taking all the rookies. I'm taking Kyler Murray. I'm taking Dak. I'm taking Patrick Mahomes. I'm taking Deshaun Watson. I'm taking Russell Wilson. I'm taking Drew Brees. I'm taking Aaron Rodgers. And I'm probably taking Tom Brady. And that puts what I just named 11 quarterbbacks.
Yeah.
Well, and see, the reason why I would take all of the rookies over Lamar Jackson or even Josh Allen or Carson Wentz or Dak Prescott for that because in your question mark you said that we're also absorbing the money, the age, and everything like that.
Yep.
So Lamar has yet to be paid. Josh Allen has yet to be paid. Dak has yet to be paid. And Carson Wentz is locked into a massive deal. So all of these rookies I would 100% take because they're all balling out. I mean, Tua had a bad first game, but he also got the ball inside the 20-yard line 4 times.
Yeah.
And he didn't have to do much.
He's winning games.
Where he had to do much. I mean, he went into Arizona and beat Kyler Murray.
Right.
And they all still have 4 more years on their contract. So, yeah, I'm taking that over Lamar Jackson.
Okay.
I 100% agree.
Now, are we all in agreement in saying that Lamar is probably the number 1 athlete in the NFL? Or am I the only one thinking that?
It's either him or Aaron Donald.
Athlete.
I was going to say him, Aaron Donald, McCaffrey.
Okay, but so it's not that we're knocking Lamar. We just wouldn't take him as our quarterback, but we're not knocking his athletic ability.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
And the thing that bothers me about Lamar is everybody says, "Oh, he's 25-5 as a starter." He's Marino is the only other person that's won more games in 30 games than Lamar. My thing is this is I always look at it as what you do when it matters. And that's the thing that bothers me. So all the quarterbacks we named, I don't think any of them have really done it when it matters, except for Nate saying Rodgers, correct? Rodgers did it when it mattered. He's won a Super Bowl and everything. But the rookies haven't, we don't know what they're going to do. We don't know what Kyler's going to do when he makes the playoffs.
This is the one thing that he was saying a minute ago. Well, he didn't say it, but I knew what Nate's talking about because I've known him long enough now. It's like you named all these quarterbacks. It's the ceilings. You've seen Tua, you've seen Herbert, you've seen Burrow. You all think their ceilings are all Pro Bowl quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. Everybody else we named have a Pro Bowl or have been to the Pro Bowl, and I know Lamar has been there, but honestly, his play style is what's hurting him. It has nothing to do with him himself. I think he's a great person. I think he's a great athlete. I think he works hard. But his play style is benefiting based off of one thing, and it's a conversation I had with a therapist of mine. Bray. We had this conversation. He said, do you know what it is about Lamar? He said, the reason they had no faith in Joe Flacco is for what? I said, because their O-line was bad. He said, what can you do with a bad O-line? I said, you get a running quarterback. That's what helps your bad O-line. If their line was like Dallas's 2 years ago, Flacco would still be there, and he'd still be doing well. But it's because their line is bad. He emphasizes better play.
I said it earlier in the chat. His athletic ability has gotten him here.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
He was never been coached. He was not taught how to play quarterback. Mm-hmm. He was taught how to, look here. If it's not open, run your ass off. High school, nobody could stop him.
Louisville
College,
was the same way.
Nobody could stop him. First couple years in the pros, nobody could really catch him. But he didn't throw the ball. You make him throw the ball, and that was the difference. And that's what the NFL is different. Michael Vick had the same problem. Randall Cunningham had the same problem. Like, these guys, their athletic ability will only get you so far, and then it always takes a back step. Later on,
I think before we get off Lamar, I think one of the biggest things for him. So you're looking at a quarterback who last year won the MVP and led the NFL in passing touchdowns. he was an absolute baller. I mean, he was making throws that were top 10 plays, side-arming it. He was seeing the field differently. I think what happened was the Ravens were at the cap. They had to get rid of Mark Andrews. We're all learning functions better in a 2 tight end set.
Yes.
And Hayden Hurst was the better tight end, but Mark Andrews was more dynamic after the catch. Hayden Hurst isn't going to be dynamic after the catch, but he's going to be where you need him to be on third down.
Right.
And then you take that away from Lamar, not to mention he's got no running. Mark Ingram has not been the same person that he was last year. J.K. Dobbins is only averaging like 3.6 yards a carry. Gus Edwards is their most prolific back, and he's only averaging like 3.9 yards a carry. So he's being asked to do too much, and that's hurting him. He needs a simplistic game plan. He needs a simplistic system. And what's happened is they've taken a simplistic system, and they've had to overcomplicate it because that's how the NFL works. And that's why a cap makes a ton of sense when we're talking about the sport.
Yeah, I want to...
it's never going to be as good as the NFL.
I want to say one thing real quick on top of that, because one thing I noticed was last year, and that other therapist came to me that I work with. He said, do you know that Lamar, it was like week 15, was leading all categories, which was great, but he was leading in more categories of yards after the catch. So like his receivers were leading the league in yards after the catch. And when I looked at that, I said, well, that's great. So like I know we got into DK Metcalf, but in a way it's like, so what you're telling me is all of his receivers are catching the ball within 20 yards, and they're making moves in between the safeties and running it deep. So then I went back and looked last year and said, what about his percentages after 20 yards? And it was abysmal.
Yeah.
He had a couple great throws where his dudes got separation, but overall, you saw the 2 or 3 playoff games towards the end of the year. He airballed everything. They look like lame ducks out there. But if he can throw a short...
He's got a cannon. He's just not accurate.
That's the thing.
But, I mean, that's what we did as kids.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you do as kids. Whoever had the strongest arm... Hey, you're fast. Run.
That's what it was.
Just catch up to the ball.
Yep, that's what he is.
That's so it's just it bothers me that everybody, like experts, they even get upset at you when you say, "No, I'm not taking Lamar." Like, what do you mean? Look at the record. Look at and it's like, I don't care. Yeah. Like I would much rather have, and the NFL has proven this year after year after year after year. The MVP might be a running quarterback, but the Super Bowl champion is a pocket passer. And you say defense wins championships. Pocket passers, accurate passing quarterbacks win championships. And it's every year you can look at it. Even the years Flacco won, Big Ben won. You're looking at quarterbacks that stay in the pocket, that throw the, and
if they have to run, it's 20 yards in the game. That's it.
Right.
Like an occasional run here and there.
But I just wanted to find that interesting.
No, I
know we might run long today, but I really don't care.
No, that was a great way to start this off, fellas. I'm enjoying this already.
All right. Well, wait till you hear my question for you later on in a little bit.
We already know.
Colts versus Titans is tonight's game. It's actually a pretty good Thursday night game, which makes me think that it's going to be a blowout and unwatchable. But the Colts, God, the one time I believe in the Colts, and they lay an egg, and I'm just I'm back on my whole Phillip Rivers is a bum, should have retired, and taught one of his 12 kids how to play golf so he can make millions in his second career. I've got the Titans winning this game, not because I believe in the Titans or the Titans are playing well. It's because I have no faith in the Colts, no faith at all. They're not using one of their best weapons in Taylor because he fumbled, so they bench him. I don't believe in that logic. What
about the top 15 wide receiver that's completely irrelevant on their team?
Which one?
Every single one of them?
Every play, offensively, they're a defensive-minded team. They win defensively. I think the Titans have something to prove, and I think the Titans are going to come out and win because in a short week, it seems like the teams that have the better wide receivers, the more dominant running back win the game. And the Titans have something to prove. I will say it. They a couple weeks ago losing to the Bengals. I think that should have been a wake-up call for them. And they've got to come out and they've got to win this game because the division is on the line. They might not win the division if they lose this game. So I've got the Titans winning a close game. I know Nate will tell us the score he picked. I think it's going to be a 3-point game, 4-point game too. I don't think it's going to be very high scoring, so I'm going to say like 25-26 to 20-21, around there.
Go ahead, Nate.
So I compare this Colts team in my mind a lot to the 2000 Ravens. They had a phenomenal defense, number one in the league, just absolutely smash mouth. The only difference is Trent Dilfer didn't turn the ball over, and that's why Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl.
Yep.
When he needed to not throw a pick, he didn't throw a pick. And what's happening is Phillip Rivers is holding on to these glory days that used to be when he had Antonio Gates and LT, and the Chargers were 12-4 every year. And he's like, it's like he turned into like Brett Favre. I have no idea what's going on with Rivers. It's not that they're misusing Taylor. It's just he's a liability, and he's only averaging like 3.4 yards a carry behind one of the best O-lines in football. Jordan Wilkins is averaging like 4.2, so why not use him? Naheem Hines is a threat out of the backfield.
Mm-hmm.
They utilize Mo Alley Cox as a huge target, but then when you talk about wide receivers, I mean, I drafted T.Y. Hilton in like the 6th round, and talk about an ultimate wit. This Colts team is just, they're frustrating as all get out, and I think that this game is going to be a good defense versus a very explosive offense, and one of them's got to give. And I think that Phillip Rivers is going to make one too many mistakes, and the Titans aren't going to make as many mistakes. I don't think Derrick Henry is going to have more than 80 yards this game, but I also see A.J. Brown having like 3 catches for 86 yards and a touchdown. I picked the Titans 24-20.
Yeah, I agree with both of y'all. I got the Titans as well. For me, it's simple. It's the Colts to me just haven't impressed me like I wanted them to. Like, you're in 1 week, you're out 1 week. You're in 1 week, you're out 1 week. It's like, make up your mind. And because their defense is good, their offense has the potential. You've got the wide receivers. You got 2 or 3 really good running backs. It's like you have a decent O-line, and for some reason you're just still not getting it done. I like when they used their multiple backs last week. It looked decent. It looked okay. But I'm starting to get to the point where I agree with you two. I'm starting to think Phillip Rivers is a liability. I am. And I agree with the one.
Bears.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
They're like a better Chicago Bears team.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. Essentially, and this is my concern. It's that exactly what you said at the end there, Nate, and that is that the Titans aren't going to probably make that last few minute mistake that you think Phillip Rivers will make. Mm-hmm. And I didn't think about that, and I'm gonna piggyback off that. I think Phillip Rivers will make the 2 or 3 interception mistake that's going to cost the Titans a win. Even though overall the Colts might look better the whole game, I think Phillip Rivers is going to be the one to throw that interception on the last drive to win, and Titans knee the ball and win. That's just me. But this Colts defense is good. Don't get me wrong, but I got the Titans.
All right. Next game we've got is Houston versus Cleveland. This is my upset of the week. I have no faith in the Browns. I really don't. I know their record is good, but their defense is really good. Not really good. Their defense is good. Baker Mayfield, I think everybody says he's going to be better without OBJ. I don't see it. I like the way the Texans have been playing. Their defense is not very good. They may be a step above the Cowboys, maybe. Sorry, Christian took a shot there, but
it's not a shot anymore.
It's
it's water under the bridge. Bud.
Deshaun Watson is playing really well with these wide receivers, with Fuller being healthy, with Cook being healthy. Both people you can't keep up with either one of these two. And Deshaun Watson is the type of quarterback that can run away from pressure. Duke Johnson, I think, is going to have a big game this week. I think the one thing the Browns don't do well is cover the running back out of the backfield. So I think Duke Johnson, who's starting for the injured David Johnson as of right now, as of recording, David Johnson is out. I've got the Texans winning this game. I think it's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be in the range of 35-31. Texans coming down the field late and winning the game late on a last-minute touchdown.
What you got for us, bud?
So this was my upset of the week, but it's actually changed now because I saw the weather prediction for the game. and I was thinking that it was going to be, like a 28-24 type back and forth game. But Cleveland is one of those weird cities. We watched it happen in the Raiders game, where when wind kicks up, because their stadium's right on the water, it's right on one of the Great Lakes. When the wind starts going, you cannot throw the ball. You can't throw the ball at all.
Mm-hmm.
And, once I started looking at that, I actually went on and looked at the radar and was looking at weather patterns for the next 10 days. And Nick Chubb's back.
Is he back? Is he back?
Multiple weeks and is still leading the league in 20-plus yard rushes. I think Kareem Hunt's better when Nick Chubb's in the game.
Yeah, they work well together.
And Austin Hooper's back and healthy, so that's your short yardage guy. Jarvis Landry thrives off short yardage. Duke Johnson is great out of the backfield, and I think you're right on that, Mark. I think Cleveland's linebackers are horrible at covering the running backs. But for me, knowing what the weather's going to be like, I hate picking the Browns because I really don't trust them. But I'm picking the Browns 17-14, low scoring. It's going to be 100 yards for Chubb, 100 yards for Johnson. It's going to be it's your in the trenches 1960 style football this weekend.
All right.
So I've got the Texans. I don't think I have this as my upset now.
No.
I couldn't remember. I have the Texans because this seems like the kind of game where when it comes to the Browns, this is the kind of game you should be winning. Okay, the Texans, bad record, right? Mm-hmm. They're looking terrible this year, but they have a good quarterback, and the Browns have a better record. So this is the point when, do you want me to trust the Browns or not? The Browns, this is where you need to win. And I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was like, well, the Texans only have, 2 wins? So this isn't a big win. This kind of is a big win for the Browns in a way because you're playing against a top 5 or 6, 8 quarterback in the league. Mm-hmm. This is a big win if the Browns can pull it off. I don't see the Browns doing it. If they can get this win, I'm like, okay, maybe the Browns are a little bit more legit than I thought. And this is unfair to the Browns that I keep giving them so much of a leash, but it's because for 25 years you haven't done it. So you can't win 5-3, be 5-3, 6-2, and me go, oh, you're back. Mm-hmm. I need you to do a little bit better. This will be a good start if the Browns can pull it off. I think the Texans are going to pull it off. They have the better quarterback. I know their weapons are worse. Just for some reason, I'm going in with trust in the Texans more, and I think Deshaun Watson will find a way to Russell Wilson the game and put it all on his back and win it.
All right.
But it'll be close.
I just want to ask you guys, the Browns versus Raiders game, did you see the wind take that football on that field goal kick and just blow it 20 yards past the goalpost to the left?
It was like the Kid Mutombo. No.
Yeah, it was hilarious. It was going dead straight, and all of a sudden it went. I laughed, but I think, I know Nate just gave us the weather report and everything. I still believe in Deshaun Watson more than I believe in anybody on the Browns. So
I have a question. Then.
Okay.
So if you're looking at these teams, right?
Yep.
You look at the Texans and the Vikings, okay?
Okay.
2 teams that a lot of smart experts, not just, us 3 guys who think we're really smart, a lot of smart experts
Speak
that
for
do this for a
yourself.
living, had them in the playoffs.
Yep.
Of those 2 teams, which of those 2 teams do you trust more to get into the playoffs?
Vikings.
Texans.
I'm going to pick the Vikings, and it's because their next 4 games are all against sub-500 teams. And I wouldn't be shocked at all if the Vikings are, 7-5 in 4 weeks and, 2 games ahead of the Bears.
For me, the hard part about the Vikings was I didn't pick them as a playoff team in the preseason. I picked them right on the edge. That was just me. So I picked the Texans as a playoff team. So to me, it's like
I don't think you can get there with a 31st ranked defense.
And that's hard. They both have really bad defenses, but the benefit that the Vikings have is that you have a quarterback who's not losing you games. He's not the reason you're winning games, and you have a bad A of a running back who's literally running the league apart. He reminds me of Zeke of 3 or 4 years ago, Saquon 2 years ago, McCaffrey last year. It's just he's doing incredible things. So
yeah, I based mine off of quickly going through the teams in my head, and the Texans have a longer way to go to make the playoffs. Even at a 7-9, I could see the Vikings, sneaking in somehow. because I think the NFC West is going to beat each other up.
Always do.
And I mean, the NFC West is just lucky they don't have to play the Dolphins anymore.
Yeah.
But the next game is an interesting game. It's the Washington football team versus the Detroit Lions. I went back and forth on this one simply because I don't get Washington. I don't get them at all. But then I looked at it, and they're not playing the Giants. So I picked Washington to win because Washington doesn't play well against the Giants for some reason. I don't get it. I don't get it. The 2 wins the Giants have are in the division, and if you think about it, if the Giants go on any type of 3-game run, they have the chance to win the division because they have 2 division wins.
I'm taking the NFC East off.
But I got Washington, and the main reason why I pick Washington is because Alex Smith is playing. Okay, Alex Smith is starting. I don't care who his backup is. I really don't. I think Alex Smith is going to play the whole game. I think he's going to be fine. I think he got his groove going. And I know he made a crucial mistake at the end of that game, throwing an interception. But at the same time, I think with a full week of practice, him knowing he's going to start, getting his head right, I think Scary Terry's going to have a great game. I think the tight end,
Logan Thomas
is going to have a very big game, and I also think they're going to run the ball well.
Well, they better hope because all my running backs injured, and I got all 9 of their backs in every league.
And the Lions, like I said last week, I'm off that train. I do not believe in them. I believe that Stafford, instead of making plays to win games, is going to make a play to lose you a game. And he is staring down. I don't know if you guys paid attention to any of that Lions game last week. He stares down Hawkinson in the red zone. He just stares at him. And he threw 3 interceptions. 2 of them were in the red zone to Hawkinson. And it was embarrassing. And so I got Washington winning a squeaker, 2017. I think Washington's a very good team that's not playing very well certain weeks. But I think Alex Smith makes the difference this week.
So, as everybody knows at this point, I am a Washington football team fan. I originally had the Texans as my upset, but given the weather report, I flipped it to Washington because I already had Washington winning this game. And the reason is, I think if Washington had a legitimate quarterback, not even legitimate, if you just gave us like Derek Carr or somebody in the 15 range, this team right here would have 5 wins right now. We wouldn't have lost the first Giants game. We wouldn't have lost the second Giants game. So there's 2 more wins right there. And we wouldn't have lost the Browns game. So there's 3 wins. It's frustrating, but I'm used to it. What I see is the fact that Detroit's not going to have Kenny Galladay. He's trending to be out again. Matt Stafford got banged up last week. The Washington defense is 7th against the run, 4th against the pass. The only area that we're bad against is tight ends because our linebackers are terrible. So could be a big day for T.J. Hawkinson, but I'm hoping that the pressure gets to Matt Stafford. I don't think that there's really anybody fantasy-wise that you should start for Detroit other than maybe DeAndre Swift and T.J. Hawkinson. And I think that Antonio Gibson's going to make up for that fumble. McKissick is going to get some revenge on Detroit. And I think Alex Smith might have his best game that he's ever had as a Washington football team member, back when they were called the Redskins or whatever. I got Washington winning. This is my upset of the week, 24-21.
So I'm the only one that's different than you guys. I picked the Lions, and this was a hard game for me to pick because I'm disappointed in both teams, but I have
It wasn't hard. You know it wasn't hard.
Hey, listen to this. I picked the Eagles over the Giants because I had to. Listen. Let me explain this to you because you're actually going to like this, Nate. You said something really smart there, and I know you always do. It's that you said this team with a top 15 quarterback, anywhere between probably 12 and 17, could have 5 wins and could be borderline, I would say probably 8-9 win team. The problem is I don't trust Alex Smith because I think he did well last week, but I still don't know who he is. 100% injury. I know they're saying he's ready to play. It's just a lot of him still makes me nervous, and I hope I eat crow on this game. Their defense is really good. I mean, Washington's defense is scarier, better than I thought they'd be. But offensively, I'm not ready to trust them because if the Lions can find a way to stop Scary Terry, which is almost impossible to do, I could see this being a really low-scoring game. Like, I see this being a dogfight like you do with the Texans and Browns, and I trust Stafford a little more. That's the only thing here, is that I could see Stafford getting this game done because Washington, I don't think, has that true quarterback they trust at the helm. That's it. Like you said, Derek Carr, I could name a few others, like even like a Carson Wentz type quarterback. Like in that same position, this team is a really good team, and they're building the right way. And I think Washington's going to be a threat to reckon with in the next 2 years.
So I just want to say one thing, since before we get off this game. So I don't trust Alex Smith either.
Yeah,
I don't trust any person that we've thrown back there at quarterback.
No,
I think Kyle Allen played really well, but he reminds me a lot of like. I don't know. He reminds me a lot of like Justin Herbert, because Justin Herbert plays really well. He throws the ball. He's not afraid to throw it deep, but he's also going to throw two interceptions, and one of them is going to be at the worst time in the game.
Always. Yep.
And I think that and it's sad to say that I'm comparing somebody who played 5 years in college and has been in the NFL for 2 years to a rookie, but that's where we're at as the Washington football team. I don't trust them either. So I trust our defense more than Detroit's.
Absolutely.
Because Detroit is allowing the 9th most yards and fantasy points to outside receivers, which is where Terry thrives. So
yeah, I think overall I'm more than likely to eat crow on this game. It's just the Matthew Stafford part I trust, and I'm serious. Like I just told you and I just told Mark, if the Washington football team can get a quarterback that's above average style quarterback, that's just, I know it sounds dumb, but even a Phillip Rivers type quarterback, I really think could change this team a little bit. So, you just don't have that person you trust there.
So I have a question.
If you keep everyone the same and get a better quarterback, this is a really good team.
So I have a question. Do you trust, Nate, I'll ask you because you're the fan of the Washington team. Do you trust your running backs?
I trust that Gibson is going to be a stud. I think that he's a rookie, and he was a wide receiver in college. He only averaged like 9 or 10 touches a game in college.
Okay.
And we took him as someone that we saw as a dynamic player who was able to catch the ball, make a lot of moves after the catch, make a lot of jukes inside the box. I mean, if you watch the Dallas game, he was running with a purpose. He turned 2-yard gains into 5-6-yard gains and set us up in 2nd and 4 instead of being at 2nd and 6.
Right.
I think J.D. McKissic is an absolute stud out of the backfield.
Okay, because the reason why I ask is do you trust that Washington could be a team that runs it 35 times a game, throws it 20, keeps their defense off the field, has sustained drives? Do you think they're good enough to do that?
I think they are, because our offensive line is built to run the ball, not stand in the pocket and throw.
Because I think your defense
look at our linemen are. We're not built for that.
I think your defense is better off being off the field than it is on the field.
You don't want to rely on them, even though they're great.
100%.
Yeah,
our safety play is miserable. Our linebackers are mediocre at best. We're lucky we have Kendall Fuller. I mean, if you look at PFF rankings, he's the number 1 cornerback in the league. I mean, he's at QBR against Kendall Fuller, I think, is under 10%.
I just think if you believe in your running backs, if you believe in the two-headed monster, and even if you don't run the ball 35, 40 times a game, but your running backs both touch the ball close to 15 to 20 times.
Which they did a week ago, and it seemed to be
and then all of a sudden you decided you're a throwing team and you're going to throw, and I think
they're going to lose from throwing too much.
Yeah, because I think
Terry's going to benefit because he's the only legitimate threat we have.
And no one can stop him. And no one can stop him.
Not to mention, you want to talk about running backs, Bryce Love practiced this week. Okay. Bryce Love is coming back.
Forgot about him.
We've never seen him play an NFL game, but Bryce Love is coming back. And if he's anything like he was at Stanford before he got injured, I mean...
he could be your 3-down back.
Yeah. Who knows, man?
Mm-hmm. I like J.D. McKissic catching the ball a lot, though.
Yeah.
But Bryce Love was a monster at Stanford.
Yeah. Next game we have is Packers-Jaguars. I have the Packers, but here's my take. Davante Adams is going to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. Davante Adams is going to score 2 or 3 touchdowns, and the Jaguars aren't going to score 2 or 3 touchdowns. I have the Packers winning this game easy, hands down. It's sort of like me talking about it's not even a game I want to discuss because it's going to be ugly.
Yep. Go ahead, Nate.
This is my lock of the week, guys. I'm going to say one thing, Mark. I think Davante Adams is going to eat in the first half, and then Aaron Jones is going to dominate the second half.
Okay. Fair to
I
say.
got the Packers 38-17. Again, lock of the week. I don't even know what the Jaguars are trying to do right now. I will say this, though. I do think James Robinson for the Jaguars is going to have a very good first half if Jacksonville can keep the Packers from scoring touchdowns and kicking field goals. Because the Packers are horrendous against the run.
Mm-hmm.
I got the Packers, easy. I just hope it's not the Packers against Tampa Bay that shows up. I hope they show up against the correct Florida team. If this is, like I said, they come out like they're supposed to, this could be a 2 or 3 score game. Because I don't even think Minshew's playing, and if he did, a 3-point difference maybe.
I think they're better without him.
I do too. I didn't want to be
their offense looked pretty good against a bad Texans team, but
the kid
quarterback looked pretty good.
Looked a little better.
Well, you finally found someone to throw the ball to DJ Chark.
Yeah.
So, in a 1 or 2 word answer to this question, I want you guys to ask, because Nate brought him up, James Robinson. Can you make a case for Rookie of the Year for this kid?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you can.
It's not going to go to him.
Is it? I mean, he's not going to, overtake Herbert or Burrow.
No way.
I mean, realistically, out of all the rookie running backs, are you putting him number 1?
Yes, I am.
I would rather him over CEH right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think there's a chance with the Lions. I think there's a chance, and I wanted to say this, I didn't. It's Swift, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll get him and Taylor mixed up every game. I'm sorry. But I was reading that 3 games ago, Peterson was getting 15 carries a game, and Swift was getting 8. Now it's 20-5.
Mm-hmm.
Last game it was completely flipped.
Swift's also a big passing.
Yeah. I think Swift has a chance to but he's going to have to make a run right now.
Yes.
But Robinson, for me, if there was like a rookie running back, it's clear as him. But it's not going away from Herbert, it's probably going to be Burrows, but it's not going away from the quarterbacks. Okay. I don't see it in any way.
All right. Next game is another awful game. Eagles-Giants. Eagles. Eagles are getting healthy, too, because supposedly I know Sanders is back, and I know Jeffries is back.
Jeffries will be out in a week.
Yeah, but he'll be here for this game.
At least this game.
But Miles Sanders coming back is big for them.
Yeah.
And I think the Eagles win this game, and I think they're going to win the division by default. But I got the Eagles because I think defensively they are going to hurt the Giants, and I think they're going to run all over them. So I got the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, I'm picking the Eagles too. I predicted this, a couple weeks ago. I think that the Eagles are just going to get healthy at the right time. Personally, if I'm them, I tell Alshon to just pound sand and sit on the bench because Rager looked good in the game before the bye, and then you get him a bye to get fully healthy for this Giants game. Fulgham has been a phenomenal find for them. The fact that they signed him to a 2-year deal is brilliant on their part. You still have Goddard. You get Sanders back. For me, the Giants are one of those teams that are they're just going to play everybody close because their defense is actually a lot better than people give them credit for. I got the Eagles winning this game 27-23, and I think the Eagles are going to win the NFC East at an astounding 7-9.
I got the Eagles too. I think they're better. They're getting healthy at the right time. Wide receivers are getting healthy. Fulgham has been a monster. Rager's going to be a stud. I assume he'll be one of the top NFC East wide receivers in a year or two if he's not already there now, in my opinion. Sanders coming back helps. I like Boston Scott. I think he's a great running back as well. I know he's been playing for them for a little bit, but I think both of them working well. Wentz is the better quarterback. Even though their line is the worst, healthiest part of their whole team, the talent's better. Wentz is better. They have a Super Bowl winning coach, right? So overall, I actually don't see this being as close as that. I see it being a 10-point game. But I got the Eagles winning this game, and I agree with Nate. They're going to win the division, probably by default because one of the teams is having growing pains. one of the teams that doesn't have their running back. They're terrible. And Dallas is an abysmal team, doesn't deserve to play this year. So the Eagles got this division.
All right. Next game is Bucks-Panthers. Boy, Bucks look bad.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened. Like, I really don't. Like, I watched highlights. I looked at all the things you can look at. I read all the reports. And
Drew Brees doesn't have a wet noodle arm no more.
He still
you
does.
guys were both pretty confident that the Bucks were going to win last week, too.
Yeah, I was very confident, to be honest with you. I don't know what it is. It seems like the healthier the Bucks are, the worse they play. So when one of the running backs is out, the other one goes off for 100 yards 3 games in a row. When Godwin's out, all these other wide receivers step up. When they're 100% healthy, they couldn't do anything.
I want to say something real quick that I noticed on the game because I watched the entire first half and a little bit because I was like, I can't watch the rest of this game. And it didn't change much, but I'll let Nate go in a second. It's that Mike Evans, I understand Antonio Brown just came back, but other than the one wide receiver, not Godwin, what's the little white dude's name?
Stevie Miller or something Miller.
Scotty Miller.
Scotty Miller.
Other than that, his wide receivers don't seem like they want to it almost seems like they're unprepared. If he was in if he was in New England, he would be like, look, like no offense, like you're playing bad, play better. It's like they're doing well because they're talented, but there's 4 or 5 missed routes a game for almost every wide receiver but him. Godwin is doing well, but like Antonio Brown, I know he just played, missed 3 routes. One of them was a clear interception. Mike Evans is overrunning routes, not being there. It's just like they just feel unprepared to me. That's all. And it feels like they're riding that defense into the wave, and that's just what I feel. I'll let you keep going. I just wanted to say that they just don't seem prepared.
Yep.
That's all it is.
I've got the Bucks winning this game. I got them winning it handily. I have a question after you guys both go on your picks about this about the Panthers anyways. But I got the Bucks winning. I think they bounce back. I don't think they lose 2 in a row. And this is it's almost to me a must win to prove you're not like the wheels haven't fallen off. So I got the Bucks winning this game.
Go ahead, Nate.
Yeah, so I mean the Buccaneers are one of the most frustrating teams to me.
Yeah.
I think that like Mike Evans and some of these other players have just gotten. I don't know. You can sit here and try to make excuses all the time. Like, did they get so used to Jameis Winston that they overrun their routes or this and that? There's no excuse at this point. I mean, we're this far into the season. You know, I think that Tom Brady's just got to reel these guys in. I think he's going to do that. Tom Brady doesn't lose twice in a row in his career. That's just not something that he does, and he's not going to. He doesn't like getting shown up by other quarterbacks that are considered, you know, great quarterbacks. I personally think that the Buccaneers are going to destroy the Panthers. I think it's going to be like 37-13, like not even close. Teddy Bridgewater's going to have pressure in his face all game. Todd Bowles is bringing blitz after blitz. I think the Bucs win big, but if they lose, trouble in paradise, let me tell you.
Yeah, I think going back to what I just mentioned earlier, I got the Buccaneers winning this game. You're not losing 2 in a row. Brady got embarrassed on live TV by a quarterback who, in my opinion, people would argue maybe being better than him or maybe he being better than them. I know Super Bowls don't matter, but Drew Brees they came out on fire, right? And this is the other thing too. I thought this was going to be about a 20-point game, but as far as I know, no McCaffrey's playing. He's minute to minute, whatever you want. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's out this week. So. You got Bridgewater. You're losing. I'm at the point when I'm coming to the Panther situation is you're doing decently well enough, but is it time to start trying out who you got on different spots on your roster, different positions, trying out different running backs, different wide receivers, and seeing what you got for the future? Because this isn't a good team. I think they play scrappy enough to stay in games, but they remind me a lot in ways of the Giants at times. It's kind of what they remind me of. And without McCaffrey, they're really not that good. With McCaffrey, they're a 3 or 4 more win team the whole year. So he's like Saquon to the Giants. With or without, you're terrible. Yeah. When you're with, you're great. I don't see any reason the Bucs lose this game. And if they do, I agree with Nate. It's trouble if they do.
Yep. So you pretty much just answered my question. My opinion is CMC shouldn't play the rest of the season.
I 100% agree.
Nate?
No, I wouldn't play him either. There's no point. I mean, you've got Teddy Bridgewater, who's number 5 right now in passing yards in the league. You've got Robbie Anderson, who has come into his own as a shot out of the dark wide receiver, who I think is an absolute stud. I mean, DJ Moore, I thought you'd get more from him, but I wouldn't. There's no chance CMC would touch the field if I'm Matt Rule one more snap this entire season.
I mean, you only have 3 wins. You really are a team still rebuilding.
They're absolutely rebuilding.
I mean, I would hope that Mike Davis balls out the rest of the year, and I'd trade him for whatever you could get.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, but my thing is this, like, you're still rebuilding. Like, you're playing well. You see glimpses. You still need that high draft pick. You still need a high top 10 pick, in my opinion, to really keep the rebuild going.
You'd be surprised what you can get at that pick. Matt Rule's a crazy offensive man.
A team that drafted 7 picks last year that were all defensive players.
Right.
Like, they had to know they weren't close.
Right. That's what I'm saying. And, like,
yourself and just stick to your plan.
And you're getting later in the season. CMC isn't 100%. He's not going to be 100%. And my thing is this: why take the chance of a serious injury happening late? Say, God forbid, knock on wood, an ACL.
You didn't knock on the wood. You knocked on the drywall.
He's dealing with the same injury that James Conner dealt with last year.
Right.
It's a shoulder, yeah.
So
it's the same exact injury. You should learn from that.
Yes. Next game is Raiders-Broncos. I've got the Raiders winning this game simply because they're better than the Broncos. And Nate said something earlier, which I have a hard time thinking of Derek Carr as a game manager. Okay? Derek Carr is better than a game manager. I don't think he's ever gotten the love he deserves. Now, last year, he wasn't very good. Okay? But if you look back at Derek Carr, before he broke his leg, what was it, like last game of the season, or they were going into the playoffs, he was, a top 5 to top 6, 7 quarterback that year. And he wasn't healthy last year, and he's healthy again this year, and he's got that team playing well. Yes, you have Jacobs that you're handing the ball off to a lot, and you have that other kid, I can't think of his name, running the ball well too. That
I can't think of him either right now. But
Booker?
I can see it.
Is it Booker? No. Nate, do you know?
Richard?
Is it Jalen Richard?
Yes. Okay. You have him running, but I just look at this team and I'm like, they're better than what their record says it is. I mean, they're 5-3, but a couple of the games they lost, they easily could have won. They got blown out by the Bucs, but every other game has been close. The Broncos do enough to stay in games. But I still think the Broncos are too hurt, too everything, and Drew Lock plays well one half, plays awful another half. So it all depends on what you're going to do. I got the Raiders winning this game, and I've got the Raiders, really making that push now to make the playoffs. So I have the Raiders winning this game.
Go ahead,
yeah,
Nate.
So I've got the Raiders winning this game as well. I got the score at 27-24, and the reason I have it at that score is I think the Raiders might be up like 21-7 at halftime, but Drew Lock apparently only likes to show up for like a quarter and a half. And in that quarter and a half, he throws like 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. So I don't know what to think of that kid. I don't know what to think about the Broncos at all. Their defense is a lot better than I think people thought it would be, missing Von Miller and some of those other pieces that they're missing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that this is actually going to be the game where Josh Jacobs has his, like, hello, don't forget me party and just balls out. For some odd reason, he tends to do that against stacked boxes. I mean, he's third in the league in rushing yards when there's 8 men or more in the box. And that's what Denver does. I mean, they make you throw it on them because they trust their safeties.
You know who he reminds me of? Curtis Martin.
Yeah, that's exactly who he reminds me of.
He loves getting hit and going. Like, he loves the contact. He's not going to play more than 7 years the way he plays. But he just reminds me of, I didn't mean to interrupt your pick or Nate's pick or anything, but he reminds me of Curtis.
That was spot on.
No, that's
for giving him to me. So cool.
Yeah. You gave him to him. Who'd you get him from originally?
You. So
he's been passed around, man.
It's all cyclical.
I got the Raiders here. They're a better team. I remember saying at the beginning of the year, I thought the Broncos were going to be better. They got hit by the injury bug. I thought their quarterback was going to be better, Drew Lock. Clearly, me and Mark were both wrong about our quarterbacks that were going to be good this year, and his Daniel Jones and my Drew Lock. We're both
so good.
We were both very wrong about those two. And I didn't mean like good as in like gonna go to like the Super Bowl. I just meant like gonna improve that next step, and both took a step back, like 3 steps back. Raiders are better. They're impressing me. I told Mark I was hanging off last week, needing to be saved from the Raiders bandwagon, but I'm on the Raiders bandwagon. They're going to win this game, and they're going to move on, solidifying themselves to getting a playoff spot right behind the Chiefs in this division.
All right.
Yep.
Next game, we got Dolphins versus the Chargers. The Heartbreak Chargers versus the Coach of the Year Dolphins.
Yep.
I got the Dolphins. Main reason why is the Dolphins are just a team that believes. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter how much you kick them in the face. They are going to come back, and they are going to be in your face all game. And they don't care who you are. Yeah, I mean, Tua played really, really well last week. I was really impressed. They don't have much of a running game. They don't have much to say about anything except that defense is going to score a touchdown. And it's shocking to me how good this team is. And then also on top of that, you have 3 first-round draft picks. And if you hit on Tua, those draft picks are going to be scary to add to this team. And I think they're a year ahead of schedule, but I think they're going guns blazing right now. I think the Chargers, Herbert makes that mistake every game, and that's cost them.
Not last week, but most games, you're right.
I've got the Dolphins winning this game. It's going to be close because Herbert can just keep them close, but I think the Dolphins win this game.
Go ahead, Nate.
Yeah, I'm picking the Dolphins as well. I chalked Tua's first game up to just, it was his first start. It is what it is. I think last week he showed what he is. And I think we should expect a lot more of this moving forward. I personally thought, even with Burrow being Burrow, that Tua, there wasn't an entire year of tank for Tua for no reason.
Right.
This kid is legit, and I think that he is going to be an absolute stud in the game. And he doesn't have a lot to work with offensively. He really doesn't. He's got Devontae Parker, who would be a 2 on almost every other team in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. And Preston Williams is hurt.
Yeah, and he's got no. They traded away their third option, Isaiah Ford, to a division opponent. But their defense is so nasty. They have the best 1-2 punch in the league at corner, in my opinion. And I think that Justin Herbert. I'll be the first to say I was wrong about this kid. I really was. I did not expect him to be this good. I don't trust Pac-12 or whatever it is now, quarterbacks. But he's also changed my narrative on college quarterbacks completely. I want someone who starts 4 years or at least 3 years in college to come out, and that's who I want as my quarterback. I don't want a Dwayne Haskins 1-year phenom. That's no good for me. Joe Burrow took his first year starting in college, learned from that, and made himself so much better in year 2, and that's why he's succeeding now.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this Dolphins team is legit. I think they're a playoff contender. I think they are a very good team. I'm picking the Dolphins to win this game 30-24.
I want you to, Mark, to say what you were going to say in a second, but I wanted to say something on his point. He said he changed his narrative on the 4-year starter at college. And everybody knows I'm a big West Virginia fan, and I'm not saying that they need to bench Teddy Bridgewater. But somebody like Will Grier, for example, is somebody who I know he didn't when he got to play. Their whole O-line was on IR. I get McCaffrey wasn't playing last year, and he didn't play well. But that 4-year starter, whether the skill's always there, they are so smart. I know Burrow didn't play all 4 years. He was benching. He was on the wrong team. But he learned. Him and Burrow and Herbert, I know they're rookies, but that 4-year, 5th-year option in college, they're so smart. They read defenses so well. And yes, he makes mistakes because he's got an Aaron Rodgers of an arm. But those two, like just for example, having that fourth year now over the Dwayne Haskins or these other quarterbacks, it makes a huge difference when they get to the NFL. It's like me wishing basketball players had an extra 2 or 3 years. Don't come out as a freshman, because if you get 2 or 3 years in a really good defensive college-minded coach or offensive-minded basketball coach, you're a much better basketball player in the pros.
Yeah.
So go ahead, and you were laughing.
Oh, no. Go ahead. Go ahead, Pete, for your pick.
I'll go mine quick since we're doing a good session here. I have the Dolphins winning this game. The Dolphins' defense is just good, and I like Tua. I think he's a game changer. They don't have a lot of weapons, so I don't expect the Dolphins to win this game on offense. I expect him to win this game by Herbert once again having 350-something yards, but I bet he throws a pick six in this game. And I think that pick six is going to be the exact point difference in the win.
Okay.
I think it's going to be his pick six. He's going to get the ball back. They're going to be down, and they're going to miss a field goal at the end or something like that. It's going to be because of him again, and that's going to suck. But the Dolphins, to me, are just a better team right now.
Right. Okay, so I want to say something about the 3 rookie quarterbacks. The top 3 rookie quarterbacks. You got Burrow, Tua, and you've got Herbert. Okay. Burrow, I've watched a lot of, and I see him see the field. He sees sideline to sideline, and he goes through his progressions. He's very patient. Tua, in the game that they just played, he's getting there. But I have a take on Tua in a second. And Herbert, to me, I saw the end of the game. I saw like the last 2 drives they had, and I saw he's only looking at half the field, and then he hucks it. And it's to me, he's got to progress. He's got the talent to progress. If he has a good quarterbacks coach, and he learns to see the film, okay, instead of seeing the play and knowing where somebody's supposed to be, and I have the arm strength to get it there, sort of like Phillip Rivers. To me, Herbert's got to learn to have no tunnel vision.
This is my thing, and I'm not disagreeing with you, okay? Nobody knows I get on the Herbert train. I'm not disagreeing with you.
No, I'm wrong on Herbert. I said Herbert was going to be a bust. I'm wrong. He is good, but he can be so much better.
But I tell people, like, that's the one thing where I told you, for me, watching on the field, I think, telling you that, I think Herbert has the better arm. I think he's the better Aaron Rodgers-esque, where I think Burrow's future could be a Tom Brady-esque. Does that make sense?
That's why I said last week he's a Jeff George or a Brett Favre with the arm cannon.
And what I was trying to tell you just there was that something from me who watched almost every Chargers game now, and I've watched, I think, like 4 of the Bengals games. Some of their games aren't on TV sometimes, but what I've noticed is that you're right. Burrow sees more of the field, but it's the first 3 quarters of Herbert's games when they're in it. He's stepping back, 5-step drop, boom, open. But when they're chasing the other team in those last 2 drives, you watched every game, it's the last 2 drives it comes down to, and he pulls a Carson Wentz or whatever it is. He pulls a interception at the wrong time, and that's when he doesn't see the whole field. That's the difference between a good quarterback and a great quarterback.
Okay.
I think he's a really good quarterback, but his problem is he's not seeing the whole field when it matters.
Okay.
And he's got to get better at that.
Now, here's my hot take.
Because the whole game, he does look around till the end.
Okay, here's my hot take. Tua is a better quarterback because he got hurt.
I'm kind of confused on the way you meant that.
Okay. Tua learned how to play quarterback.
Because he took the time to
practice.
Because
he even said it. I'm never going to be the same guy I was at Alabama. He learned, he watched tape. He got people to teach him how to throw. He got people to teach him how to use his feet the proper way. And he still has enough athleticism to run, but he is more of a passer and a quarterback now than he is a freak athlete.
I agree to an extent, Mark. I think that so the thing that I loved about Tua all throughout college was even when he came in for Jalen Hurts and won that national title, was he was so mature and humbled and poised after he won that national title. And that's not something you find very often. You know, you get these people like Dwayne Haskins who want to charge people $5 a head to come to their draft party. And then you get someone like Tua who's like, you know, just standing there in his Hawaiian shirt, like hugging his family, loving his family, and just so happy to be in this moment, even though he knows he should have been the number 1 overall pick had he not got injured. I just think with Tua, he's got a different wavelength about him that's hard to find. And honestly, it's almost I don't want to compare him to Ryan Fitzpatrick in the way that they play football, but it's their mindset.
Okay.
They're just both very just like, you know, I'm happy, you know, if I made a mistake, I'm going to learn from it. I cannot let that mistake hold me back. I'm going to continue to strive and be a better quarterback.
Okay. Yep. Next game is, I think, arguably game of the week. Bills Cardinals. Bills showed up. Bills showed up big time against Seattle. Big time. And they looked like they did the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season. Dominant on offense. Dominant. And then they did enough to hang on. I've got the Bills winning this game only because I think that trend continues. And they're going to win a shootout. It's going to be very high scoring. But I got the Bills winning this game.
Yeah, I agree. I have the Bills. 38-34 is the score I picked. I think that, Stephon Diggs may not have the best game because Patrick Peterson is going to cover him. But I think someone like John Brown, who's fully healthy, was completely cleared, 100% go. They're going to have a big game. And I think they found something with Zach Moss. I really like the Bills this week. I'm picking them 38-34.
Yeah, I have. This is actually my upset of the week. Also, for all the people listening, when we get done with this pick, we're gonna stop this and go to a part 2, just for the recording aspects of it, just so everybody knows. It'll be right after this, just because recording too long makes the thing a little wonky. But I have the Cardinals winning this game. This is my upset of the week. I think this is the time when the Cardinals are going to show up. For some reason, I think this is the game to do it. It's a big game. I see them getting hyped for this game, and I just see Hopkins becoming the wide receiver he was the first 8 weeks. The last 2, he's been a little I see this being the game where he comes back and does really, really well. And this is me picking the Cardinals, upsetting the Bills.
So we're going to get right into it. We're going to talk about the Rams and the Seahawks. I've got the Rams winning. I think the Seahawks are really good, but they're coming back to the pack. And I really just think the Rams are that well put together team that has more talent. And I think they figure it out defensively to beat Seattle. And I don't think Seattle has anything of a defense to stop the Rams. So I've got Seattle. I've got the Rams winning this game. And one thing I really hope happens is I hope Ramsey is on DK and shuts him down. And they just have a safety over top, because all DK can do is run straight. I just really want DK to get shut down because I really want people to see that he is not a good wide receiver. He is a he's a speedy person that runs straight.
And will steal the ball from over top you, but other than that...
And so I just want him to get exposed. I think Lockett is really their best wide receiver. I think he's being very disrespected big time. I got the Rams winning this game, and I really think the Rams are going to take that step to really try to win this division.
So I want to let Nate go after me this time because I know there's a lot he wants to talk about this game, and I want to make mine quick because I was not involved in this whole thing about this game. I got the Rams winning this game. Again, they play balanced. They don't lose games. They don't do anything special to win games. They're in it. They make no mistakes. I think the Rams win this game because Seahawks defense is trash. And I do want to add one thing to the fuel here. It's hard to say how great DK is. No offense to DK, when you're not even the best wide receiver on your team. Mm-hmm. That's a first. So if you want to be considered a best, if you're not the best on your team, you're probably not the best of most other teams' number ones. So that puts you around 30th in the league. So with that being said, go ahead, Nate. How do you feel about this game?
I think that Sean McVay is one of the top 5 coaches I would hate to play coming off a bye week. The dude is a freaking genius on offense. And Seattle's defense is just putrid. It was shown last week. It's been shown every single week, honestly. I've got the Rams winning this game 35-31. I think Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp are going to dominate this game. I think Jared Goff is going to have a big game. I was actually really upset someone snagged him off of waivers before I could to start this week in fantasy.
What?
God,
I think that
he's so old.
I think that the Rams are going to win this game 35-31. And I want to say this because I would really, really, really love to put this whole argument to bed because it's stupid. DK is a top 5 fantasy wide receiver, right?
Yes.
And I think everyone would agree on that.
Absolutely.
He is. When I'm talking about receivers that I would want to build my team around, he is not in the conversation.
Not at all.
Julio Jones, DeAndre Hopkins, Tyreek Hill,
Terry McLaurin,
Adams, Keenan Allen, people that have good footwork and good hands. I would take A.J. Brown and Terry McLaurin over him.
Okay, I want to piggyback on this real quick because we've been in a disagreement in our group chat with Logan. Logan is and Justin. It's fantasy driven, and fantasy driven is not the way to decide whether somebody is a great wide receiver. Okay, that is, or a great player. I'm sorry, it's not, and Danny said it best in the chat. He said, fantasy football is awesome because it brought people that are novice fans to the sport, okay? But it also made it so all people look at is stats and they don't look at footwork. They don't look at what the person actually does. And I'm sorry, I agree with Nate. I've got 10 fingers and 10 toes, and I need more to count the number of players I would pick, wide receivers I would pick before I'd pick DK on my team.
I think at times
Go ahead. Like Logan, a Washington football team fan, has literally stated numerous times that he would take Terry McLaurin over DK Metcalf, but he claims that DK Metcalf is a top 5 receiver. I love Scary Terry. That dude ain't top 5 yet.
He's close. He could be there soon. The one thing I wanted to add was with the fantasy football thing, before we get to the next game, you said just because you do well in fantasy doesn't always make you a great quarterback. And that's why I've said I always thought our late, great injured Dak Prescott, the holy grail of quarterbacks, right? No, just kidding. I just wanted to hear this. All hail Dak, right? No, but
it's going to be a WFTer next year.
Hey, and you will be the biggest fan of Dak Prescott.
We'll talk about that when it happens.
It's simple. It's like, to this point, I still think Dak's I think he's like the 3rd highest passing yards in the league right now, and he's been out for 5 weeks, right? Like, Dallas has scored as many points as Dak scored in one half when he was playing. So the point is, like, people are like, well, does that make Dak quarterback? I still think he's a top 10 quarterback, but that makes decaf the same argument. Just because you're blowing up the stats in fantasy, Lamar Jackson, doesn't make you a great player, even let alone a great wide receiver.
Yes.
I think he is good, but he reminds me of Megatron, who can't turn. Megatron can, but he's a big dude. He goes over you, makes the catch, but if you tell him to put it on a slant route, he's slower than everybody that's on him.
The most disrespectful thing is comparing DK Metcalf to Calvin Johnson.
Not in the way you took
Calvin Johnson ran every single route.
I know.
He was the best at the position.
But you have to understand the way I meant that. I meant that in a size, how he was bigger than everybody else, how DK goes over your head and looks at you on the ground like he's Aaron Donald playing wide receiver. He's big. Yeah. They triple teamed Megatron and didn't stop him. That's DK. But the problem is Megatron can run the routes, can run the curls, can run the slants. DK doesn't do that. DK literally would fit perfectly on Justin Herbert's offense. That's the kind of wide receiver he is. So what we got next?
Adams is a better comp to Megatron than DK Metcalf is.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. I'm going to comp him because of their size.
Yeah, I was just saying size-wise. He reminds me of his size, but obviously Megatron's all.
I know this isn't the end because we're going to have Logan on next week, and I'm sure Logan's going to want to talk about this too.
DK's going to have 18 slant routes this next game and just make us all look stupid.
The next game is Saints 49ers. Quickly put, 49ers are hurt. They're too hurt. So I don't see them winning another game this year, to be completely honest. And I got the Saints winning. I think the Saints take that next step to say, hey, we are the best team in the NFC. Watch. So I got the Saints in this one.
Go ahead, Nate.
Yeah, I'm going to pick the Saints as well. I don't know how you could even pick 49ers. Saints 31-20 is what I put. So Saints.
Yeah, I got the Saints. They showed up, embarrassed the Buccaneers. I think they'll do the same thing against 49ers.
Okay, I'm going to save the Steelers-Bengals for last. Do you guys mind?
No.
Okay.
No, that's fine.
All right, so Ravens versus the Patriots. Patriots beat the Jets, but it doesn't mean that they're back and they fixed all their woes, because they had to score 13 points in the fourth quarter to beat the Jets.
Flacco was balling a little bit, though.
I've got the Ravens winning this game. I don't see Lamar playing well. I see their defense playing well. I don't. Again, we can get into this argument of what Lamar is.
He's a fantasy quarterback.
Not even this year.
Yeah. He's had more weeks outside the top 20 than in the top 10.
So I've got the Ravens winning this game, only because the Patriots are bad.
Yeah. Go ahead, Nate.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Mark, which I hate doing, but I think that the Ravens win this game because of their defense. I don't think that Lamar is going to do much. I mean, the Patriots' defense isn't the best this year because of all the players that they have sitting due to COVID, but you have J.C. Jackson, who's leading the league in interceptions. You still have Stephon Gilmore. You still have McCourty. They're not going to be able to throw the ball. It's going to come down to Cam Newton turning the ball over more than the Ravens turn the ball over, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be low-scoring, gross. I got the score 2014.
Yeah, I got the Ravens as well. Patriots are just bad. I don't see the Ravens, Lamar, doing anything crazy. I think you could have the 200 yards, 100 yards rushing like he always does. But honestly, what it's going to come down to me is it comes down to the Ravens defense is going to do everything to stop Cam Newton from scoring, and Cam Newton's going to stop himself from scoring because he's in his own head. I see the Ravens having no trouble here, and the Ravens fans are going to rejoice like it's a Super Bowl like they do after every bad win, which is half their games. Okay. So what do we got next?
Vikings-Bears. This game is, I think the Vikings have turned the corner. I think Dalvin Cook is the best running back in football. I think you can stack the box against him, and I think he's still going to run over you.
You think McCaffrey healthy, Dalvin Cook's better?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm saying this is Dalvin Cook's coming out party.
Okay. I'm not going to disagree with you. I think he's incredible. So it may be the prisoner of the moment, like you have the 1,000 guy in McCaffrey and everything. Cook can do that. Cook really could do 1,000. They don't use him enough in the passing game. But he's just, it's sort of like the Devontae Adams Packers thing. You know the ball's going to him, and you can't stop it. So I think the Bears are going in the wrong direction. I think the Vikings are going in the right direction. I've got the Vikings winning this game. It's going to be close because the Bears make you play close. So I've got the Vikings winning this game.
Yeah, I agree, Mark. I think that the Bears are going in the wrong direction and the Vikings are going in the right direction. Like I said, I would not be surprised at all if the Vikings were 7-5, come week 12. I think that they've got two great route-running wide receivers who also have very sure hands. They run the ball. Why would you even do anything besides hand the ball to Cook? It's funny that you mentioned the 1,000. Alvin Lamar is actually on pace to be just shy of 1,000, and he's going to be short in the rushing category, which is hilarious to me as a running back. But I think right now, 1, 2, and 3 running back in the league, Cook, Kamara, McCaffrey, you could name any one of those as your number one, and I don't know that I could disagree with you.
Yeah,
I think Dalvin Cook is an absolute stud. I want to thank my cousin, Danny Johnson, for giving me him in our $100 fantasy league for Jonathan Taylor and a bag of chips. And I have gone from a 2-4 record to 5-4, and I'm the second highest scoring team in the league because I have him and Alvin Kamara. Thank you for that.
Nice. Shout out to Danny.
I am the different one here. I have the Bears, and it's only because I still don't trust the Vikings defense. And that doesn't mean the Bears have a good offense. This is a game that if you ask me to flip a coin, it'd rain 50-50 each side. It's to me, I'm not trying to say it's a game I don't care about. It's just a game that it's not going to incite my attention. I'm not super excited about the game. The Bears defense, I think, can do enough to slow down the Vikings offense, but it depends on if the Dalvin Cook is coming out. Does that make sense? The 200-yard Dalvin Cook, the good Dalvin Cook. If he does that, the Vikings are going to win this game. I just think for some reason the Bears have a pretty good defense. I think they might find a way to slow him down and keep him about 100, 110 yards, and the Vikings are going to have to throw, and I'm just not a Kirk Cousins believer. Okay. I got the Bears winning this game. Close game.
Okay. All right. The last game we're going to talk about before we talk about some, college quarterbacks is Bengals-Steelers. You guys are going to laugh at me. I know you are. But if I told you the Bengals were going to beat the Titans, you would have laughed at me. Okay, if I told you the Bengals played their most complete game that game of the season and it finally came together, you would have laughed at me. But the Bengals, I told you, were close all year. They were close to putting it all together all year. They figured the offensive line out. Okay, they have. He's still going to get sacked this week. The Steelers' defensive line is very good.
I mean, the Steelers' defense is not the Titans' defense.
But no, it's not. But the Bengals' offense isn't the Titans' offense. The Bengals' offense is better than the Titans. Okay, they proved it.
Okay. That one week. Okay, I'll listen to you.
I'm going to tell you the Bengals turned the corner. Okay, now I am going to tell you this is a heart pick. Last 6.5 years, the Bengals have lost every single game to the Steelers. Okay, Big Ben owns Ohio. We talked about it when he played the Browns the first time.
84-8.
Okay, but I am telling you, Joe Burrow has this team thinking differently. Okay, and a quarterback can do that, and we all know that. Okay, he's the leader of the team. The team sees that they will be in every game as long as they do their job. Okay, and I do believe with Ben's knees being hurt, okay, he still hasn't been cleared to play because of COVID, closeness or whatever. His knees are hurt. He looked bad against the Cowboys. Okay, this offense, last 2-3 weeks, this team has not looked like a 9-0 team. Okay, they are ready to lose, and this is the week they lose. Okay, and I think it's going to be the best thing for the Steelers because it's going to wake them up. It's going to be like, oh crap, we just lost to a 2-win team in the division that we've owned for 6.5 years, and the Steelers will then go on another run and finish the year with only one loss. Okay, but this is the loss, and I have the Bengals winning this game 35-21.
Wow,
it's not even close. Okay.
I was expecting way closer, but okay, go ahead, Nate.
Technically, I meant to say 31, but 21 came out, so I'll own it.
Yeah, we ain't taking that back. You got a 14-point spread. Okay.
Yep. I just want to say you said the Steelers were going to win by 28.
I did say the Steelers would win by 28.
I have it written down.
I did say that. I also I'll let Ned go in here a second. Steelers actually had no idea what quarterback was playing for the Dallas Cowboys. They do this weekend. Go ahead, Nate.
Look, I don't necessarily disagree with you, Mark. I think that the Bengals, if there's a team that the Steelers would lose to, it would be the Bengals. I mean, I just think that the Bengals are going to be the team, in the last, what is this weekend? The last 7 weeks of the season, they're going to beat teams they should not beat. I mean, they're just that kind of team. Their offense is insane. Mm-hmm. And to be honest with you, Mark, I know you love Joe Mixon. I think they're better without him. I think Giovanni Bernard has shown that you don't need to be that kind of team. I think Joe Mixon's nice. I think they overpaid for him based on what they have offensively.
I think they use him wrong. You can use Mixon the way you use Burrow. It's just they don't.
I mean, I guess you can. I think what Bernard has done. I mean, Bernard scored more points in the last 3 weeks than he almost, besides Mixon's 44-point game, than Mixon did all season.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tyler Boyd is legit. He's the biggest, most insane slot receiver I've ever seen, but he's really good. T. Higgins is a stud. What a year for rookie wide receivers, am I right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
I think Joe Burrow's legit. I think their offensive line played much better. Surprisingly, the Bengals, when they played the Titans, were much better in the middle of the field than they had been all year. I mean, they shut down Jonnu Smith. They couldn't get anything. The Titans couldn't get anything going. Crossing routes, slants, nothing there for them. But I can't, in my right mind, pick them to beat the Steelers this week.
Believe me, I know
think that it could happen. And would it surprise me? No. But I'm picking the Steelers in a close shootout, and I think that the Steelers' defense is finally going to get exposed this week. I think that it's going to be 34-30 Steelers.
Oh, boy, Marky Mark. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to I picked the Steelers now. This is my lock of the week. And the reason it's my lock of the week is because I'm thinking the exact opposite of what Nate just said. I don't think the Steelers' defense is going to get exposed. I think Steelers' offense is going to get exposed. The difference is I don't see this being a high-scoring game. I think the Steelers are going to play bad, and I also think the Steelers' defense is going to stop Joe Burrow in offense. And not stop in a way where he's going to look bad. Burrow's going to look great. This is going to be a 21-20 type game. Okay. I don't think Burrow's going to throw interceptions because he doesn't. He reminds me of a young Tom Brady at times. He doesn't make mistakes. Mm-hmm. But overall, the Steelers' defense is ranked top 5 in the league right now. Mm-hmm. And again, we all liked the Titans, but the Titans' defense is ranked 25th in the league. Mm-hmm. So it's a different defense coming at Burrow. So yeah, the offensive line played better, but against a subpar defense. Now, I will say I do like the offense of the Titans. I think the Bengals did a fantastic job shutting them down, and I think the Bengals actually surprised the hell out of people. Mm-hmm. And I think their offense is good. And even if they lose this game, this is no disrespect to the Bengals' ceiling. They're going to get better. Their offense is really good. Mm-hmm. They need a couple good players, a good free agency. Burrow's going to take this team to the next level. In my right mind, I agree with Nate. I could see this being the Steelers' loss. I could. Mm-hmm. I could see this being the one where they got smacked in the face, which could be a good thing for a playoff run because they'll figure out they're like, oh, we can't do that. Again, right. Hall of Fame coach, Hall of Fame quarterback. I trust the Steelers will get this done. They won't let the Bengals win because they never let little brother win. Yeah. That's all.
Nothing you guys said surprised me.
Yeah.
I actually didn't pick this game until right before you came over.
Yeah.
I had it blank, and I just said, you know what? You're a fan. You believe it.
Yeah.
You've seen it.
Absolutely.
Let's just pick it.
There's nothing wrong with picking your team because this is a game where the Bengals are getting better every week. They are. Yeah. Again, they only have 2 wins, right?
Yeah.
2 wins. Yeah. So they have the exact same wins a lot of other teams do. Yeah. But they're actually improving even in their losses. Yes. Whereas I know I gave hell about the Herbert thing, but they're not improving in their losses. He may be improving. The team's not improving.
Right.
Burrow and the team is improving every week. But I just think the Steelers have too much firepower.
Okay.
I could see them beating the Ravens, but not the Steelers.
Okay. So now we're going to piggyback on something me and you talked about last week. We do got to make this quick, so I apologize, Nate. We got about 10 minutes left.
Yeah. We got to get kids to bed.
I'm going to give you my hot take from watching the games this past weekend. All right. So the number 1 quarterback in the draft is Trevor Lawrence. Hands down. You agree? Yes, no?
Absolutely.
Nate?
Yes.
Okay. The second best quarterback in this draft is either going to be that kid from North Dakota who you've talked about. But my opinion is from watching what he did against superior talent in the SEC.
Kyle Trask.
It's Kyle Trask.
He
sees the field. Like he does what I said that I love about Burrow.
I literally said if we don't repay Dak, I want Kyle Trask with our second round if he falls, but he's not going to fall now. He's going to be a top 10 pick.
And I'm not saying this because Nate's on and Nate's a Florida guy. He bleeds blue and orange.
No, he's a top. He's the second best quarterback in
I take him over Fields
right now.
because Fields to me is that Ohio State quarterback that is only good because he's an Ohio State quarterback, and he's not going to be good in the pros.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I watched him play, and he can. Their offense is built on reading only one side of the field.
Kyle Trask and Trevor Lawrence are pocket passers with the ability to run 20 yards a game.
Yes.
They have a little bit of momentum to them, and they can throw the ball.
But I have Trask as I haven't seen that kid from North Dakota.
He's really good.
I haven't seen him. Now, North Dakota's proven they can produce quarterbacks in the NFL. Okay, so I am not going to say Trask is better than him, but Trask is easily the second best quarterback in this draft.
North Dakota State is the best FCS school there is, or FBS D2, whatever they're considered. Yeah. They are the best school in that division. So everybody they're playing is worse than them. That doesn't take anything against from Trey Lance. Kyle Trask is beating SEC schools with 5-star players.
Yes.
And he's taking a team that wasn't supposed to be that good this year, in my opinion. I didn't think they were going to be anywhere near this explosive on offense. And they're doing it. Mm-hmm. That's where, to me, better competition. And again, I give it the SEC hell. Kyle Trask is that dude that if you can't get Trevor Lawrence, that's the quarterback I'm targeting, not the kid from Ohio State. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Nate, it's all you.
I thought that Florida's offense was going to be this good. I didn't expect their defense to be this bad.
Mm-hmm.
I thought last year Kyle Pitts, the tight end from Florida, was the best tight end in all of college football. And he has, without a doubt, proven that this year. I think what's going to happen is, Justin Fields and Ohio State is going to run the table in the Big Ten because the Big Ten is atrocious this year.
They're awful.
They shouldn't be allowed in the championship either.
And I think that Justin Fields and Ohio State is going to make the playoffs, and then they're going to lose. I think Justin Fields is better than Dwayne Haskins. And I have more trust in Justin Fields than I would Dwayne Haskins because he started more games. That being said, I think if you're looking at just the eye test, just straight down talent, if I was to rank them, I would go Trevor Lawrence 1 through 10. And then at number 11, I would have Kyle Trask. I would have Justin Fields after him, and then Trey Lance. I don't really like Trey Lance all that much. I'm going to be completely honest. I think he stares down his guys. To be honest with you, before the season started, whenever after the draft, everybody wants to do their mock drafts for next year right out the gate, and I had looked at Trey Lance's tape, and he reminded me a lot of Justin Herbert. So maybe I'm completely wrong on this kid. I don't know, but I just don't trust. I just don't trust him being where he's from. He's not looking. He doesn't look like Carson Wentz to me.
Well, they're two different quarterbacks. Yeah.
I like this kid from BYU. I'm
Yes.
not gonna lie. That kid just has cojones and doesn't care. Like,
He's good. Was it Zach Wilson?
Zach Wilson.
Yep.
That kid is just like, he's like, dude, I'm here. BYU's here. You can like us or not, but I'm beating everybody.
And they win like 10 games a year.
Doesn't he have to stay 4 years? Isn't that part of like BYU's thing? Or is that just you can't be with a woman?
I don't think that's part of their thing.
They have that
No,
rule. Like,
I think there is a rule with BYU that you can't date while you're playing for the football team or something like that,
no,
right?
like they had a basketball player that was dirty, and they kicked him off the team because he had a girlfriend and he slept with her.
There's something weird rule about that. I heard that years ago.
Wasn't there like a Bears quarterback that was from BYU?
Well, Steve Young was from BYU, and I want to say that Jim McMahon was from BYU.
Yeah, Jim McMahon was from BYU. Look what happened when he came to the NFL.
Yeah.
Dude started wearing headbands, got a mullet, and put on glasses.
If he could have played quarterback with sunglasses on, he would have.
That's awesome.
But I was just interested because I know you both. I changed my mind because I really thought Georgia's defense was really good. They might be overrated, but they played the two best offenses in the SEC back-to-back weeks. But I saw what he did, and I really was impressed. So I really think he skyrocketed. But I think he skyrocketed up.
What is that?
I said Kyle Trask is legit.
Oh, he's definitely going to be an NFL quarterback.
into the conversation of he's easily a first-round pick now.
He's got good height.
But he also could be that guy that, say they lose another game, and that a team trades up for.
Yeah, I think he could be the kind of quarterback that a team would trade up for. That let's say they don't make the SEC. I mean, they don't make the championship game or that kind of stuff. I could see him being the kind of quarterback that falls to day 2 possibly, and a team really steals him up and has a really good quarterback for even less than they have to pay him.
Yep.
So got any guys' last words, Nate?
To be in burgundy and gold.
Anything else, Bud? Before we head off here.
No, guys, I really appreciate you having me on. Sorry we went so long, but I think it was a lot of fun. I'd love to be on again anytime.
All right, Bud. Well, we'll have you on at any time.
Yep, and we'll talk to you soon, Bud. Have a good week.
All righty, you too, guys. Thanks.
See you, Bud.
All right. So, other than that, I mean, I think that's a good episode. I know
we ran
long
episode.
So
we're gonna get in trouble.
Everybody have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.
Have a great weekend, guys. Peace out.